Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Sordward and Shielbert's spectacular podcast. We're all the way up to episode 8. That's how many gym badges you got to get to go and face the Elite Four. We're the Elite Four today, I suppose. It's your boy, Lab Dog, head coach of the Boston Braviaries, the commissioner of 5S, and he's back, the reigning champ. Never leaving, hopefully. I'm joined today by Juan, head coach of the Worcester Delibirds.
What's up?
Josh, head coach of the Waco Scizors. And also Matt, head coach of the LA Kinglers.
Hey guys.
Hey guys, thanks for joining me. So I'll just say right now, the league is halfway done with the regular season. So there's a lot to talk about. We'll be breaking down our matches this week. We'll be looking at the league as a whole. We'll be reflecting on the first half of the season, and we'll pop open that mailbag that everybody loves. All right, so Juan, why don't we get started with you for your match this week, because you were one of the lone 0-3 teams going into this week, and you had a big matchup because you went up against another 0-3 team, the Lavender Town Gangars, and who got the win, buddy? Tell me what happened.
Well, thankfully I got the win. I definitely did not want to lose. I felt like, no disrespect to Gangars at all, but given what my next 3 matchups are, and Houston's no joke as well, I felt like if I was going to get a dub, it had to be this week. So I felt like this was a must win for me, because I did not want to end the season winless.
Oh yeah, we can take a look at that later when we look at the schedules going forward for us, but you are definitely entering the gauntlet, so it's good to get a win finally.
Yeah.
Just in case, knock on wood.
Yeah. I would love to sit here and pull an Aaron Rodgers and say, my team's going to run the table and get to the playoffs. But given who I'm going to face, I don't think that'll be smart of me to say.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. So, Juan, there was actually, I don't know if the other coaches know about this, but there was a little controversy about your match, though. Lavender Town Gangars had a misclick and accidentally Gigantamaxed their Milotic rather than their Emax Duraludon. So you guys had to kind of, you spoke with me. We all got together on separate calls and everything, and we walked through how to rewind that and everything. How was that whole process for you?
Shit happens. I've always been scared that I might Dynamax the wrong Pokemon too. So, there's nothing against Gengar. He made an honest mistake. The first restart was a little, iffy, but once you told me, what to do, the second restart went a lot more smoothly. Yeah, that's just the key. Just kind of like playing out that first turn or two. We compiled a lot of information of what you guys had for move sets and what Pokemon were out, etc., and we were able to recreate the game state as best we could, and hopefully we got what you and Chris both feel is a legitimate conclusion to that battle. Yeah, I'm happy with it, and
seems like you would.
It seems like he's satisfied with it too.
Josh, how about you? Waco Scizors. You had your first loss last week. The undefeated season bit the dust. How'd you turn it around this week?
Well, I have to say, I'm glad to see the Minnesota Widow Kings are on a new win streak. So, but I don't know. I just turned it around. I guess that's all I got to say about it.
Yeah. And
first time playing. What?
Who'd you end up playing against this week?
The mighty Psyducks.
Yes, the mightiest of Psyducks.
So, it was my first time playing Rillaboom this week. We can talk about that later. But it was a real trip getting to this point. I had to use up all my XT candies, I have to say, training that Rillaboom.
Oh, geez.
Because I screwed up the first time. So anyway, yeah, I was kind of surprised. I guess probably misplayed Rillaboom a little bit because he actually got a kill off on Rillaboom. But Toxtricity and Chandelure came in and finished it off, I guess. So
Yeah, those two carried you pretty well in that match, both of which got 3 KOs apiece. So
yeah,
very good. Seems like you didn't have to switch either of them out once they were in.
right.
Yep. I like that combo too because it lets Toxtricity kind of boom burst and do what it wants as well. You get a lot of spread damage with those two out, heat waves,
Yeah.
bursts, and overdrives and all that. Matt.
Hey.
Okay, tell me about your week.
So if you haven't seen my match yet, check it out on my Facebook page at the LA Kinglers. It did not go as planned. It was brutal. I lost on turn 1 basically. I go to set up Trick Room and he taunts my Confederagus, and the rest is history. Not much to say about it. I've had 2 very tough matches in a row. Got another tough one coming up this week, but I'm still feeling pretty good about where I am in the standings.
Actually, I want to talk to you about this match just because you brought it up with the whole taunt Confederagus Trick Room thing. So for those who have been following my team reports, I actually have not been bringing Dusclops the past 2 weeks because everybody wants to taunt or imprison me. And I just don't want to give them, I know they're going to bring it, and I don't want to give them that option, so I just haven't been bringing it. How do you have that same mindset that you're like, okay, now people know with my Jellicent, I picked up the Confederagus, they know I'm going to go for Trick Room. This is what you bring to beat Trick Room, the taunts, the imprisons, etc. How are you playing around that or planning to play around it going forward? Because I'm still trying to think, okay,
Right.
am I going to drop Dusclops? I was trying to shop him around, and I almost had a deal, but Josh had to screw that over. We'll get into that when we go over Josh's trade, but
So I don't want to give out any of my secrets coming up, but I'm thinking about switching some stuff up. I've gone with the same starters for the last few weeks. People are definitely aware that my team is running around Trick Room, but we'll see what happens. If they're gonna taunt or they're gonna imprison it, I just got to figure out a way around it or something of that nature. Maybe taunt their imprisoned Pokemon and just figure out a better way to get off Trick Room.
Yeah, it's tough though because usually, if you're trying to set up Trick Room, you usually have your Trick Room setter and one of your Trick Room sweepers out at the same time, trying to keep that up, and then you're not fast enough to taunt before they can taunt or imprison. So it's a very difficult game. I've found.
So yeah, there's ways around it. You can run a fake out creature. I had run the fake out creature, tried to fake out the Oranguru, and then I forgot about the focus ability, so it doesn't flinch.
Yeah.
So that was kind of my first misplay of the game, and that's kind of where it all went. So hopefully I can figure something out for next week.
This doesn't work on Imprison, but if you're definitely expecting a turn 1 taunt, you can always run a Mental Herb on your setter, but it doesn't work against Imprison, which is what I've found more people are bringing, at least against Dusclops. But yeah, so thanks, Matt, for that insight. So we'll go to my match. I ended up playing against the Seattle Shiny Sylveons, and yeah, it was a pretty good match on my end. I felt in control the whole time. My lead definitely beat his, and G-Max Hatterene really put in work. It got 4 KOs, didn't die all game, and it set up its own Trick Room as well halfway through the match to keep the momentum going. So very good job for Hatterene. For those who are voting on the Facebook poll, the Week 4 MVP vote is up, so make sure you all check that out. We got a lot of G-Maxes this week. They really put in some work for all the teams. So check that out if you haven't already. Cast your votes. All right, so yeah, that's our week in review for our teams that are on the podcast. Let's take a look at the league as a whole. And right up here, if everyone can see that, just let me know if you can't. But we got the standings following week 4, and we'll just break that down real quick. So still at number 1, 4-0, 19 points, Tuscaloosa Talonflames. Second place, also 4-0 with 17 points, picking up 5 points this week, is the Montreal Nilotics. Also 4-0, so our undefeated teams all stayed undefeated. Denver edges out, gets 1 point this week, 4-0, 11 points. Houston, 3-1 with 12 points. In 4th place, Waco, they are, Josh, 3-1 with 9 points. LA, you slid down to 7th place, but you're still 2-2 with 9 points. Davenport, 2-2, 6 points, tied with yours truly, Boston Braviaries, also 2-2 with 6 points now, up in the 8th spot. Detroit slid down to number 10, 2-2 with 5 points. Seattle, Paris Saint-Germain, PSG, and Worcester all tied for 11th place. 1 and 3, all with 3 points. Very interesting. And then we have our 3 winless teams, all at 0-4. Charm City, Mighty Psyducks, and Lavender Town Gangars. So, Juan, halfway through the season, you look at this snapshot. Give me one thing, one anecdote. Give me an antidote.
Just want me to say anything?
Yeah. What you look at this? What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Damn, that Talonflames got almost 20 points.
Almost.
That's the first thing that comes out of mind. I'm surprised that Denver only has 11 points.
Yeah, well, they only got 1 point this week. They only had 1 Pokemon remaining this week, close game against the Davenport Dragapult. So, you know, if they're undefeated, but they've had closer games than the other 2 teams. So they only picked up like 2 points 1 week and 1 point this week. So that's why they are behind on the points, but it's the dubs that matter.
Yeah, that's true. And I also see the champ there tied for 8th.
Working my
right in the playoff picture. That also stands out as well.
All I need.
So, yeah, I mean, those are the things that stand out to me. I mean, of course, myself being in 11th place, but
you still got a shot, though. You just need to be in the top 10 to make it the playoffs. So,
yeah,
like you said, you're in the gauntlet going forward, but you're within a shot. That's all you need.
That's all I need. It's just a shot.
That's right. Josh, how about you? You look at this halfway through the season, 4 weeks. Give me one note or 1 point that you'd like to make on this.
You know, honestly, actually, I think surprised about Montreal being so high up. Although it is really nice to see this new team, Tuscaloosa, just like jumping up to first place there and just being so far at everybody. They're really, I just very dominant, I have to say. And I am a little surprised by Detroit. And I know it said in the opening podcast that they were might be the team to watch out for, and they apparently didn't have a good week. So
yeah, you beat them the other week, and then they ended up losing to Minnesota this week, which, if you haven't seen that game before, dang, I wish that game was recorded, because that was a crazy game for it. Weather damage, KOing things, like Pokemon KOing their own teammates over and over again. I was like, what happened here? It's a massacre. That's lost to the archives, though. Lost to the Nintendo Online abyss.
Hate to see it.
Hate to see it. Matt, halfway through the season, what are your thoughts?
My thoughts are, it seems very balanced. A lot of teams are kind of falling in place to where I thought they would.
Yeah, we got a lot of nice symmetry. Look, there's 3 teams 4-0, 3 teams 3-1 that mirror the 3 winless teams and the 3 1-3 teams, and there's 4 2-2 teams. It's very even right now. Very
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, very symmetrical, which is interesting. I mean, obviously the points fluctuate, but very, very interesting there. So moving on from the standings, we're going to move to the schedule page real quick, and we're going to look at some advanced analytics. Gotta love it. We have strength of schedules now that we're halfway through the season, and also weighted strength of schedules, which is just the strength of the schedule taking out your personal record against those teams. So we'll just kind of go through all these. So for those who don't know, basically what this means is a number above 1 means that your schedule is more difficult than average, and a number below 1 means it's easier than average. Because 1 means that for every win, there's a loss on your schedule. So that's average, right? For every winner, there's a loser. So we'll just go right through here, and we'll stop at a couple key ones. So again, above a 1, it's pretty tough. Not that I'm saying my schedule is crazy difficult, but I have had to face 2 of the undefeated teams and a team that is 3-1. And that gives me a strength of schedule of 3.0 and a weighted strength of schedule of a 5. So definitely tougher than normal. Obviously, I'm at 2-2, so I can't be like saying like, oh, I'm 3-1 through this schedule. You know, look at me, I'm a badass. But I think that helps to face a couple of the tougher teams at the beginning. So let me kind of find my bearings after that. Going through that, Detroit, they have a strength of schedule of 1.28 and a weighted schedule of 1.4. So their schedule is a little tougher than average. I also want to point out, if you see that your strength of schedule is less than your weighted strength of schedule, it means that you're actually playing above those teams, if that makes sense. So you actually want to see this top number lower than this bottom number, because this is removing your schedule. So they're winning more when they're not facing you, is what the bottom number means if it's higher than the top number. Just for those who are looking into, okay, what's the difference between those two? Why the fuck do I need to know all these numbers? You don't, but they're fun for some of us. Montreal. Tom didn't like this when I showed it to him. I don't know if anyone got a little bit of that, but his strength of schedule is a 0.45, well below 1, and his weighted is a 0.71. So he's had a relatively easy schedule. Denver, also one of our undefeated teams, the exact same strength of schedule. Now, some of these undefeated teams might say, well, that's just because I'm beating everybody, so therefore the schedule is worse. But that's what the weighted comes into, because that is what they're playing against everyone who's not here. So still under 1. Then we got Waco. Josh, your strength of schedule is slightly under 1, but your weighted is at 1. So basically you're playing against the average teams, and you're doing well against them. So that's good. That's good to see.
I love being average.
Huh?
I love being average.
There you go. Hey, if you're 3-1, I'll play against all the average teams. So Minnesota, their strength of schedule 1.28, and their away strength of schedule is a 2. So they're 3-1, and they're actually playing against a pretty tough schedule, and they're doing pretty well. Their only loss is against Houston, who's 3-1, and they've beaten all the other teams. So good for them. LA, there you are, Matt. So your schedule is also slightly tougher than average, and you're sitting there 2-2, so pretty good. I think 2-2 against a tougher schedule is pretty good. Here's the line. Gangars 0-4. Their strength of schedule is a 0.6 with a weighted of a 0.2. So when you see that, that is a very weak schedule, and they're not performing to it. So you would like to see them turn that around. But obviously, if we look at their remaining schedule, they got Detroit and then the 3 undefeated teams. So they are going into the gauntlet this second half of the season. Psyducks, their strength of schedule is pretty tough, 2.2 with a weighted of 1.4. Obviously, the 2.2 is because they are also 0-4, but the 1.4 still shows that they are facing a tougher schedule than average. Shifting over. Juan, here you are. You have a strength of schedule of a 0.6, so below average with a weighted of 0.33. So that means that you are, you know, you should have stepped it up the first half of the season, because just like Lavender Town, you got the top 4 teams your second half. And that strength of schedule is going to shift higher and higher and higher as the weeks go on now. Davenport, slightly below average, but not bad, 0.77. Houston, one of our 3-1 teams, pretty low strength of schedule, 0.45. Tuscaloosa, now this is interesting. I want your guys' thoughts on this, because he will like this when I show it. Some people aren't going to like this podcast, but we like this podcast. 0.23. 0.23. That is the weakest schedule in the league with a 0.33 weighted. So almost the worst weighted schedule. Lavender Town Gangrels has the worst weighted schedule, but Matt, what are your thoughts on that? Tuscaloosa, number 1 team in the league. What are your thoughts on him having a 0.23 strength schedule?
My thoughts are he's coming to me next week. So that strength of schedule will go up.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, against you and Davenport, it'll go up a little bit. If Juan keeps it going, it'll go up a little bit. But, like, how high is it going to go, right?
It's not going to go much higher, but
well,
we'll
it'll
see.
Be interesting to see if, you know, now that he's going to face some quote-unquote seasoned teams, how he'll be able to kind of combat that, you know what I mean? Seattle, they have a average strength schedule of 1. And Charm City, a 15, the hardest schedule in the league. They faced all top 4 teams. And then PSG has a strength schedule of 3.0, so they've also had a pretty tough schedule. But Charm City's is crazy tough. Juan, what do you think of that schedule?
Yeah, that first half was pretty brutal, and the second half
doesn't look much easier.
No.
I mean, you got this one that'll be interesting. But
yeah. You can't. I feel like you can't sleep on Seattle, and then of course Waco's one of the top teams, and Minnesota's 3-1 as well. So it's gonna be interesting to see what his record's gonna be at the end of the year.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, Josh, did you have any comments you wanted to make on the SOS?
No, but it's actually really funny. I hadn't really looked too closely at it before. Just seeing like the teams that are at the top have played the easiest schedule so far.
Yep. And guys, it's all just mathematics. It's all statistics. Don't hate the mathematician.
Obviously, when we started the season, nobody knew, right? Like how it would
no
shape
one knows
out.
what teams are good or bad or whatever, right? Everyone starts off. And maybe next week looking forward to next week's podcast, maybe we'll take a look back on our preseason tier list and see where everyone's kind of like shaking out halfway past everything. So, yeah, very cool. So, again, a little snapshot on that. So, while we have this up, though, guys, why don't we reflect back on the first half of the season? 4 weeks done, regular season. We got 4 left and then the playoffs. So, I liked what Matt said earlier with the symmetry of this season has been piece de resistance. I love it. Personally, I'll talk about myself first, and we'll each go through it. Obviously, would I like to be in a better position than I am? Sure, but having gone against the 2 undefeated teams and being able to bounce back the last couple of weeks, making some good moves and all that, I'm happy to be in the playoff picture right now, and over the next few weeks, I definitely want to move up, try and get into at least that top 6 spot that guarantees you the 1 bye week. Juan, how about you, looking back on the first half of the season for yourself?
Well, I knew it was going to be tough. being out of the Pokemon game as long as I was, going up against a lot of people who seem to have stayed in the Pokemon game. And then doubles was quite the adjustment to make. If I could go back and do my draft over, I would probably draft a lot different. I was stubborn because I felt like I was just going to do the same style I've always done, the physical attack, and a part of me knew that was wrong to do. And as you remember, the very first match against the Kinglers, I got my ass handed to me. So that was definitely a wake-up call. And but I feel like I've been improving each week, even though I only have one win to show for it. But I did say my goal was to be better at the end of the year than I was entering the year. And even if I don't win any of these next 4 matchups, I feel like I'm on my way to that goal because I feel more confident now. And I'm starting to understand doubles a lot more. So next time we do doubles, I definitely know what to do and what not to do. So I mean, it's been quite the learning experience, but I'd be lying to you if I said I'm surprised where I am because, yeah, I knew it was going to be tough, and it has been. But hey, that's what happens. You learn from it.
Yeah, that's how it goes. You're right, but I agree, Juan. I think every week you see improvement, right? And that's all you can kind of ask for when, as you've said, you've been out of the game for so long. You want to see improvement, and yes, you're going into the out of the frying pan and into the fire, as they say. But I think you're going to give them hell, even if you go over 4 this second half. I don't think it's going to be easy wins for them. I think.
Yeah, that's the thing.
The knowledge.
That's the thing. I don't want to make it easy for them, and I mean I definitely want to win at least 3 out of the 4, but it's gonna be tough.
Josh, how about you? Looking back on your first half of the season and how it's shaken up in the league as a whole.
I'm doing better than I thought I would, but I guess I have an average season strength so far. So maybe we'll see what happens this coming week. But I think I've punched above a little bit the low B- tier for my draft, and I feel like I've made a few okay trades so far that'll take my game to the next level, perhaps. So and I'm feeling pretty good about it. I have to say I like doubles a lot. There's a lot more strategy involved, and that makes it more fun to look forward to every week. So that's what I would say.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I mean, you sit there at 3-1 in 5th place, so can't complain about that. You got the win-loss record that everyone's looking for. Matt, kind of a roller coaster first half of the season for you so far, but break it down in your own words for me.
So far, I think I'm about where I would have expected to be. I beat 2 of the lower teams early in the season, and then I've lost to 2 of the best teams. I think I've been playing about average. Hopefully, you can take the second half of the season and improve. But I think I'm about where I had expected to be at this point in the season.
Awesome. Yeah, 2-2, nothing to scoff about. You're the better of the 2-2 teams, so
Right.
definitely in a tie-breaking position to move up with a couple wins. So, yeah, I think overall, at least everybody on this podcast is kind of on the upswing of things. I think it'll be interesting to see what the latter half of the season has for everybody. All right, so let's stop talking about the past. Let's talk about the present a little bit, because obviously we got to break down some transactions that happened this week. So let's do this. All right, so we'll break these down and we will kind of give our thoughts on them. Last week I just had each coach kind of break down their thoughts on one of the transactions. So we'll kind of go around. All right, so the big trade of this week, I guess we start off hot and heavy. The big trade of this week, Detroit sent Rillaboom and Drifblim to Waco in exchange for Mimikyu and Sirfetch'd. So very interesting trade. So as I kind of alluded to earlier, when I was shopping around Dusclops, Devin and I, head coach of Detroit, he was actually thinking of doing Rillaboom for Dusclops and some other kicker or whatever. But Josh had to offer him his baby boy Mimikyu. So, is what it is. But Matt, what do you think of this trade? Because I'll put my thoughts on it if I don't agree with you, but what do you think?
Okay. I think Detroit won. I think that was a good win for Detroit. I like Mimikyu a lot. I think Mimikyu alone kind of made Detroit a lot better, even though they took the L this week.
Really? Because I disagree, because looking at Rillaboom, if I had to redo the tier list, Rillaboom would be an S tier, not even A tier. So, interesting. Juan, what are your thoughts on that?
I actually kind of agree with Kinglers, just because when Detroit was on the podcast the first time, he was raving about Mimikyu, and it definitely seemed like he wanted to grab him in the draft. So it didn't surprise me when he did the trade, but Rillaboom is a better Pokemon than I think most people anticipated. So, but I still think that even though he took the L this week, I like it for Detroit as well. I think he'll figure it out with Mimikyu in the doubles.
Josh, I think I know what you're gonna say, but I'll let you say it anyway.
Well, I think it was the right move. Mimikyu is more. Mimikyu is good for singles, probably. As like a fast sweeper, and maybe if I could have a different team setup and I wasn't limited by having one Pokemon from S, one Pokemon from A, Mimikyu could be better. But Rillaboom's like Grassy Surge, like high attack, his Grassy Glide priority move. Overall, he's pretty good all around.
Yeah, good ball
and support Pokemon. So, and Drifblim.
Yeah, I think that's even more of the kicker. You got Drifblim in exchange for Farfetch. I like Drifblim a lot better than I like Farfetch.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny because when we were doing the draft, I wanted to pick Drifblim, and which I guess kind of parallels Devin wanting to pick Mimikyu, but we both picked the other person Pokemon accordingly, I guess. But I think together they're gonna do pretty well together. And if you look at like Pikalytics VGC 2020. Rillaboom is 36% played, the highest percentage of all. It's pretty.
It can do so much. It gets Fake Out, it gets Grass Fly priority, Wood Hammer for straight damage, knockoff. You can run Assault Vest on that very easily and just becomes very bulky. I would love to hear other people from the league, viewers, comment below. What do you think of that trade? Mimikyu and Sirfetch'd for Rillaboom and Drifblim. Who won that battle, Waco or Detroit? Well, trade, not battle. We know who won that battle the week before. All right, so that was our big trade of the week to start it out. Next, we got a bunch of free agent moves. So we got Boston Braviers dropping Rotom for Colossal. I brought it to my match, didn't get to use it, but I've been talking Colossal up for a while as a C-tier pick. Very versatile. I like that one. Detroit dropping Feeble and adding Riolu. Juan, what do you think about that drop?
It's interesting. I think that was a good move. I think Relo is probably a better support than Feeble is. I think Feeble's better, honestly, probably in singles than in doubles.
Yeah, with Unburden and everything. Well, I think especially after you traded Rillaboom, like it's hard to do Unburden if you don't have like seeds and like different things. So I definitely, and Riolu can be so annoying. He can do a lot of annoying things. I was thinking of putting on my team for Prankster Trick Room, but yeah, interesting stuff there. So the Davenport Dragapults, they've been dropping their high tier mons, trading and dropping. They dropped Rotom Heat and add Zera Aura. Matt, what do you think of that pickup?
I think he's trying to show off the shiny Zeraora he got.
Yeah. That was another one I was looking at, like, ooh, do I want to drop Dusclops?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Takeout, it gets a lot of different coverage. Very fast, very frail. That's probably what you would say is a weakness of it. Even if you fake something out, if it gets doubled into, it's probably going to die. But
Right.
very interesting. Minnesota Nido-Kings dropped the Powdon and add Axorus. Josh, what do you think of this move?
I think it's, well, I don't know. It's kind of weird because like the Nido-Kings kind of had a sand team thing going on, and now it's like not happening. I mean, I didn't really like in my game. I didn't really experience that sand team, but like they could do that, you know. At least that's what it seemed like to me. But Axorus is pretty good.
It's hard.
Yeah, and I have bad memories of Axorus in singles last season.
Yep.
So.
Axorus did well for me last season, the champion team. I did end up replacing him with a better dragon type as my sweeper, but they love it. Tuscaloosa Talonflames, they dropped Rhydon and add Paparaja. That gives them another Trick Room sweeper. We've seen over the last couple of weeks they're transitioning their team from just straight up Colossal sweeping to having a Trick Room part of it, adding both Gothitelle and now Paparaja. So interesting to see how that continues to form. I like how, even though they're the #1 team in the league, they're not sitting complacent. They're looking for other ways to add different foils to their team composition. Very cool. Next, we got the LA Kinglers. Matt, you dropped Flareon and added Sudowoodo. So, Matt, why don't you give us some insight on that pickup?
So I was looking for a Trick Room sweeper, but you had already grabbed Colossal from me, so I figured I'll try Sudowoodo out for this week.
Yeah, Sudowoodo, very high attack stat actually and I mean, Trick Room Rock Slides are nothing to scoff at. So very interesting. It got some interesting coverage moves too. So I could see it working. Again, I think it'll be interesting to see now that everyone kind of knows your plan of Trick Room, how you'll play around it in the coming weeks. Because again, I've been having not trouble, but I've had to change my game style, and I don't know exactly where I take it from here. Next, we have the Denver Ninetales. They dropped Frostmoth and picked up Vikavolt, bug for bug. Juan, what do you think of this pickup?
I was a little confused. I thought Frostmoth was a good mon to keep, and I was wondering what her thought process. I would like to know what her thought process was in doing that, because I would have kept Frostmoth, to be honest.
Yeah, I've seen Denver, they've definitely been transitioning out of that. Like when they drafted, they wanted to be a hail team pretty heavily, and they've been transitioning out of that with their first week of trades and drops, and now getting rid of Frostmoth. I know they were definitely looking for like an electric type, and they've been trying to get like a little Trick Room foil in there because their team is very slow, even though they do have Noivern, who is one of like, other than Prankster Pokemon, is the fastest Tailwind setter in the game. The rest of their team is very slow. Basically, Ninetales and Noivern are their only fast Pokemon. So I think that they've been looking to kind of like shift it a little bit, give them that extra foil of Trick Room.
Yeah, which is smart though, because you don't want to stay stale throughout the whole year. So
yeah, and I did know that they wanted electric coverage as well, and there's not a lot of electric Pokemon left in the lower tiers. All right, we got the Houston Darmanians. They dropped Slurpuff and added Mantine, so the Rain team gets another interesting Rain Sweeper Josh, any thoughts on this one?
Not really. Honestly,
Are they putting too much in the rain team, though, Josh? They already have Ludicolo. They already have Dreadnought. Obviously, Pelipper. Dracovish obviously does more damage in the rain. Like, how much? They have Pincurchin as their lightning rod. They have Toxicroak who can run like a dry skin. How much rain? Like, you know what I mean? What are your thoughts on that? Is this too much on that access?
You just need the right team to come in with the right counters, and that whole rain team will be taken out.
I tell you, Freeze Dry rips his team apart. You saw it in my game against him last week. 4 times on Dracovish, 4 times on Ludicolo, 4 times now on Mantine. Like, just it'll be interesting to see. Like, I don't hate Mantine, but since he has already so many other Swift Swim sweepers, I just think it might be going too much on that. Worcester Delibirds, they dropped Pikachu and a Golisopod Wand. That was your pickup for the week. What are your thoughts behind that one?
Just wanted a faster water type. I do have Dreadnought, but Dreadnought's slow. So I wanted something a little faster, and also get First Impression, which is also a good move to have along with Aqua Jet. Shout out to Tom for helping me with that. So that was my thought process. And I only used Pikachu once, and I just couldn't really see myself using him, so that's why I dropped him.
Golisopod is actually it's an interesting mon, right? Because you said how you were looking at a faster water type. But if you look at Golisopod's base speed, it's actually 30 or 35. It's really low, but it has a lot of priority moves.
Yeah, that's
first impression, and it's
I should have
huge.
I should have worded that better.
Yeah.
Priority moves.
No, I understand what you're saying. It can hit fast and hard, and I like it as a Pokemon for sure. It has a very interesting ability, Emergency Exit, which sometimes is nice and sometimes isn't.
Sometimes
you be prepared for the best and the worst with that. But yeah, very, very interesting pickup. I like it. All right, next we got Waco. They dropped Pyukumuku and Apoudon, which Minnesota had dropped earlier. Josh, why don't you give us some thoughts on that? Obviously, you have Excadrill, but is there anything beyond that?
We'll see. But whatever happens, Hippodon is better than Pyukumuku.
Wow, that's harsh words. Harsh words. Somebody pick up Pyukumuku and beat this man with a sponge.
If someone wants to, they can go ahead and play with Pyukumuku and Shedinja.
There you go. We'll put Tom pass all the speed boosts. Oh wait, no, that's Ninja. Never mind. Ignore me. And our last pickup of the week, the Mighty Psyducks dropped Charizard and added Ninetales. Matt, what are your thoughts on this pickup?
I think he's probably trying to set up Sun for some reason.
Well, he does have Venusaur, so
right.
Something.
So I guess that would be his logic behind that, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I mean, it's Ali, so I'll let him do what he does. So that's all of our transactions for the week. A big trade, but mostly just free agent picks. Yeah, again, guys, in the comments, who won that trade, Waco or Detroit? I want to know. I think it's a little split here on the podcast. So, all right, next, it's everybody's favorite segment, mailbag time. So a lot of these have to do, half the season's over. Where do we go from here? This one comes from Jack, head coach of the Tuscaloosa Town Flames. What are your expectations for the rest of the season? So while we're talking about this, I'm going to bring up the schedule again. That way we can kind of all look at that. So why don't we go in reverse order? So Juan, why don't we start with you? Worcester, 1-3. You got Denver, you got Montreal, you got Tuscaloosa, and you got Houston, who we saw are third, second, first, and fourth place right now. Expectation for the rest of the season.
It's gonna be very, very tough. I just expect just to get better each week and hopefully challenge these teams. Obviously, I want to win. Obviously, I'm going to go into the matchups believing I can win. But being realistic, this is going to be a very tough stretch of games for sure. But I'm ready for it.
Very tough stretch of games. I'll be excited to see how those play out. Next, we got Matt's schedule, 2-2 so far, halfway through the season. Next week up against Tuscaloosa, the number 1 team, Houston. Then you got Seattle and then Waco. What are your expectations for the rest of the regular season, Matt?
My expectations are to win out. I will be 6-2 by the end of the season.
There you go. I want to see that. Knock Tuscaloosa off next week. Show them what a real team can do.
Hey, you got it.
There you go. All right, next we got Josh with Waco. 3-1, very respectable. Can't complain against that. You're going up against Boston, Charm City, PSG, and then LA to end it. What are your expectations for the rest of the season, Josh?
My expectations are to and be 7-1 at the end of the season.
Very interesting. I think a couple people on the podcast want to talk to you about that. Maybe 2-2. What do you think, Matt?
If he's lucky.
Oh, if he's lucky. Whoa, I was just saying he'll lose to you and me, but you think he could lose to Charizard or St. Germain?
Oh, when
He'll at least lose to you and me.
All right. Some smack talk. I like it. I'm provoking. All right. And last, but definitely not least, we got Boston starting off 2-2. We got Waco, Minnesota, a bye week, and then Detroit. So,
Disrespectful.
is it though? I mean, is it? We're all friends here. We can speak honestly. JK, maybe I'll lose a Pokemon. All right, so obviously, I mean, I'm not going to sleep on Josh. He's 3-1. This will definitely be an interesting match. Matt in Minnesota. I wanted to see this game that they played this week. What the hell? Why is there no footage of this game? I need to know what's going on here. And Detroit, I mean, we'll see. Again, I think he's weaker without Rillaboom. But we'll have to see at the end of the day. So if I can go 3-1 here, I'll be happy. Ending 5-3, I think that'll put me somewhere around the 6th spot, get that bye week. I'd be happy with that. I could see dropping like one of these games, maybe. Like one of these two I could drop. But yeah, so I think that's our expectations for that. Going back to the mailbag, because my phone keeps shutting itself off. Oh, and by the way, I want to give a big shout out while he's on here to Matt. Really helped grow his Facebook page this week. Thank you, Matt. That was awesome. I think you like doubled in likes and everything. So very cool. All right, this one comes from Caitlin. Now that you are halfway through, what are your thoughts on all the teams, and who do you predict to make a deep run in the playoffs and make it to the Elite Four? So, I mean, I'll let you guys kind of start with this one. So why don't we just do like, who do we expect to make it deep into the playoffs here? Juan, what do you think? I'll bring the schedule back up again. Top 4 teams if you had to pick right now. And don't take the easy way out.
I would say if I had to pick an Elite Four, I would say definitely the first three teams. And then I'm going to go with the champion. I want to say that's the Elite Four.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. I like that. I can agree with that.
If I don't make it.
Ooh, all right.
But,
yeah. You can knock out Denver. Josh, how about you? Top 4 teams in your mind.
I also would say first 3 teams. Like, really, it's hard to say since they do have like this weaker schedule. Or so far, the strength of schedule has been weaker. So I don't know, but I would definitely say those first 3 teams. And I'm gonna say LA. I'm gonna say LA for number 4.
Wow.
Laws up.
What's up, guys?
I think those first 2 weeks were really good. You had a tough these last 2 weeks were tough opponents, right? But I think you're the sleeper pick.
Very
Right
interesting.
about that.
All right, Matt, are you going to reciprocate and put Waco in the Elite Four? Give us your teams.
All right, here's my top 4. I decided this before he said anything. I got Montreal, I got Denver, I have Waco, and I have myself.
Wow.
I think that's going to be the Elite 4.
Knocking the number 1 Tuscaloosa right out. Interesting.
Who have they played? They haven't played anybody.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with you for sure. I mean,
They
they
haven't
did
played
play
nobody.
against me, but I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Who have they played against?
Damn.
All right. All right. My top 4. If I had to pick right now, I don't know what Montreal's doing with their team. Like, they have been trading. They've been putting guys on train blocks. I don't know what their team's going to look like at the end of the day. So I actually have a totally different top 4. I like Houston. I like Waco. I like Tuscaloosa. And I like your defending champ. That's my top 4. That's who I can see having a deep run in the playoffs. I think they have enough versatility and enough prestige or coachmanship, however you want to talk about it, to make a deep playoff run. That's that. If you guys want to elaborate on any of that. All right, our next question comes from Tom. What's been the highlights of your season so far? So Matt, why don't you start us off with that one? What's a key highlight from your season?
I think my highlight has to be sweeping Worcester on week 1.
There you go. A clean win.
Very clean win. Sorry, Juan.
Hey, you're speaking the truth. It was an ass whooping.
Josh, how about you? What's your key highlight of the first half of the season?
The highlight is definitely the down to the wire, less than 1 minute left, triple flinch of Excadrill on Gyarados against Detroit.
Yep, got you that MVP for Excadrill. Juan, how about you? What's the highlight for you this season?
We're definitely getting my first dub. That's definitely my highlight of the season.
Always good to have that to hang your hat on. We were lucky enough last season that every team got at least 1 win. Hopefully, we can see that happen this season as well. Myself, I don't know if I necessarily have a highlight, but I guess it was getting that first win against Houston, who's turned out to be a pretty good team. It's always good to hang your hat on, but I want to say that, like, all you guys who keep joining me every week on this stupid podcast, and all you viewers out there who like and subscribe to our silly little channel, you guys are my highlight. Hit that like button. Yeah. All right. This one comes from Devin. What innovations, if any, would you like to see for season 3? Spoiler alert, knowing that we're going back to singles. So this is kind of getting ahead of ourselves. But so obviously as the commissioner, I already have some machinations. I've had a couple people who are going to join the rules committee with me. Again, to all the coaches out there, if you're interested in joining the rules committee for season 3, I'm still looking for a couple more people. So definitely hit me up. Let me know if you're interested. Yeah, but I guess we can. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to influence people or give away some stuff I'm thinking about. But Juan, going back to singles, anything you would change about the league or anything you would like to see added?
I think maybe if they can, because this is how it is in football, but I think the draft order should go by record instead of random. So if whoever wins champion this season should pick last. That's just the way I feel. Maybe it's because I watch a lot of the NFL draft, but I like it better that way because I feel like you give the weaker teams a chance to start off strong. So that's something I would like to see.
I will say, just again, as the commissioner, that's a good idea if all the teams stay from season to season. We did lose a couple teams last season, and added a bunch of teams, so it's kind of hard to seed from teams that didn't exist or that left. But
yeah, I hear you.
If we hold all 16 teams, that could be something that we consider for sure.
But I'm pretty sure whoever the champion is going to stick around. So as long as they get last pick.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere. Don't worry about it. Josh, how about you? Knowing that season 3 will be returning back to singles, anything you'd like to change in the league or that you would like to add?
Well, one interesting thing that could really throw people for a loop would be increasing the amount of Pokemon we can pick at the beginning from like 10 to 12. Just because there are 100 more Pokemon now, and that could really throw a wrench in your strategy and your planning.
That's an interesting thought.
Hey, I second that. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. Again, holding things close to my chest. Matt, what are your ideas for season 3 going back to singles?
Something I've been thinking about that I'd like to see is like a keeper league. So we get to keep one of our Pokemon from this season, take them into next season, and then draft our next 9.
Yeah, kind of.
That's the thing that's going to happen, but
yeah. Again, that's something that could definitely be done if more teams are being held over from season to season.
Right.
I definitely agree. I wouldn't be against that in any way. Obviously, that's something that I would want to announce going into a season, not announce this season. Be like, oh yeah, by the way, you guys get to keep one of your Pokemon that's on your team going forward for next year. And especially knowing that we will be alternating between singles and doubles, I could see not that every Pokemon necessarily isn't good or bad, singles versus doubles, but it's definitely something to think about. Again, I think as we have more and more teams kind of hold over from season to season, we can get into these more kind of legacy style leagues.
Sure. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. And as I guess I'll comment on Josh's suggestion as well, since I commented on the other two and it wouldn't be fair otherwise. While I'm not against having more options for teams, I think that, and you kind of see it with this season, adding 40 some odd Pokemon from last season, that teams are kind of watered down when it comes to speed tier picks. And I think going to 12, you probably have another C and another B or something. I don't know how I'd break it down exactly. Maybe you'd have 2 A's, but I can see teams either getting more watered down, or because if I give you 2 A's, maybe you're more hyper focused. Like it might conflict with the thought process. You know what I mean? But it is still something to think about. And again, if you're interested in joining the Season 3 Rules Committee, hit me up because we'll be looking to start drafting all that towards the end of this season. Drafting up those rules docs and the tier changes and everything. All right, last question. What has been the greatest play you have seen this season, whether it was a read that got you a cool interaction, etc.? And I guess we can talk about either ourselves or if we saw something on a one of the videos that everyone's been posting. Juan, any cool plays or special tech that you've seen in your games or in other people's games that really made you say, wow?
Orange Guru with the instruct move. Being able to get your Pokemon to attack twice like that, it's pretty useful. That definitely caught my eye. Because remember, like I've mentioned plenty of times before, I've been out of the game for a while, so there's a lot of these new moves that like I never heard of, and that was one of them. So that was pretty interesting to see.
Yeah, Oranguru's signature move, Instruct, very powerful in doubles. Josh, how about you? Any interesting plays that you want to call out?
Also, I think Oranguru is pretty cool. I didn't really expect that when I saw it in your video. Nothing really comes to mind, I guess. I think Minnesota's potential to run double Indeedee with Dazzling Gleam or
Expanding Force.
Yeah, Expanding Force could be something to look out for in the future. But
interesting that they didn't bring it this week after it seemed to do so well against you in the previous week. But obviously they still got the win. So, Matt, how about you? Any key plays that you've seen this season that you want to call out?
If you check my most recent match against Montreal, I have a pretty good reaction when I get my 1 KO of that match. I'm not going to tell you where it is, so you got to go watch it.
Oh, geez. So, very interesting. I actually want to call out, going back to another one of Matt's games against Denver. I thought that game was all about reads and like switching plays. It was a very strategic game from both coaches, I felt. And I just, for those who don't know, Caitlin, head coach of the Denver Nine Tails, is my wife. So I get to sit in and record her matches. And while I try to be a silent observer, I'm like, whoa, what? Who did this? What? And that was kind of my reaction watching that whole series.
It was a very good match.
Yeah.
For all it's worth.
Yeah, very good. So, all right. So that ends the mailbag segment, and we're going to be winding down the podcast here, guys. Halfway through the season, I'm going to give you each a chance for one final word. You can lament on the first season, reminisce. You can talk some smack talk for the second half of the season. You can stake your flag, your claim that you will be champion. Juan, final words to close out the first half of the season.
I'm excited to run this gauntlet I'm about to go through.
There you go.
I really am. No, I'm being serious. I am. It's going to be exciting to see how I match against the top 4 teams this league. It's going to really show whether I've improved or not.
Yeah, definitely. All I would recommend, Juan, is definitely check out those battle reports for those teams.
Yeah.
What they seem to be beating off. Obviously, Montreal has been posting videos, so kind of like analyze what he's been doing. You can see what his kind of sets are. Put in some research, and I know that you'll give them help.
That's what I plan to do.
There you go. Josh, final thoughts on the first half of season 2.
I've just been having a champion time.
There you go. That's my line. closing thoughts on the first half of the season.
Claws up.
Claws up, baby. All right, guys. First half of season 2 is down. We got the next 4 weeks to look forward to and then playoffs. Thank you all again for joining us. I'm going to be putting all the Facebook pages for the teams in the description for those who have joined the podcast. So make sure you like those for Worcester, Waco, and LA, and yours truly, Boston. Look forward to more game matches coming up next week, and we'll see you on next week's podcast. Keep battling.